Speaking as an architect, I speak for myself. My personal experience is that actually, and it is precisely linked to the subject you brought up, that in fact, when one is working on major architecture such as stadiums or structures of global importance, which are huge, so one must, at this moment, in fact, deals with the commercial utilization and profitability of those structures. And it is actually something that has been affecting me a lot lately, in the sense that I realized that I am actually a tool for gain.
Hello, Honza. Welcome to South Capital. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the invitation. I would like to begin with something maybe a little unconventional. I was researching you. I tried at the start because this is something I enjoy doing in my interviews. So I tried to build your archetype from what is publicly known and available. You came out to me as a creator and builder, which I think is quite logical in this instance. So I wanted to ask, creator, builder, what do you like best? Sketching a new idea or the gritty reality of construction? Is it your archetype, creator, builder?
That is probably quite accurate, and I think that precisely the beauty of the job, or perhaps the beauty of that archetype, is that one can touch everything. From the very beginning of some thought, creation, the thought, creation of the concept, up to the dirty hands on the construction site, that it is actually complete work, which is actually that Renaissance kalokagatia, which starts with that thought and finishes with the physical labor.
So the connection of body and soul, that is very lovely. So we got it right the first time. We are pleased. Okay, let us get started. I'd start with one thing. The biggest architectural mess for you. I will try to mention what personally bothers me, as I enjoy high aesthetics, but I am curious how you see it. Huge white ceiling light in the living room, cold white. Czech entrepreneurial baroque from the 90s, a classic. Entrance to the toilet directly from the living room. Vinyl or even better linoleum with a luxurious pattern, wood and something else.
If I had to choose from tragedies, I'd choose the toilet, because it is an absolute dysfunction. Architecture is contextually designed. What doesn't appeal to you might be for someone something beautiful, which we certainly do not need to defend, but here I would rank the dysfunctionality of that solution above the aesthetics.
Do you have anything of your own to add to the list?
Blue color in architecture.
Blue color in general. Why?
I don't know. I haven't seen blue in architecture that worked here.
I agree. Just recently they built a house next to me that has blue windows, and I must say that I have never seen a bigger disaster. So, thank you. Another thing I'm interested in, two brothers, both practically the same career. What is in that? Is it some same inspiration, environment? What's behind it?
I tried to decode it so many times, and neither my brother nor I ever figured it out. It is perhaps a rebellion in that both our parents are economists. That means that it is probably the furthest thing from architecture than economics. So maybe to move in a different way. However, both of us are creative, both of us are individual, and both of us are enthusiastic enough so that we enjoy architecture. But I would not see in it any Sigmund Freud. I would probably not look for that. Or, no, I did not.
So nothing deeply psychological in the background you know of?
Maybe by the end of today's talk we will reach it. No, at this moment I really do not know.
Okay, now I have a slightly philosophical question, but honestly I think about this often because I have always enjoyed history. Whether in your opinion architecture is still art, even though most projects are created as commercial development, and how actually today, in your opinion, how the general public, as well as your architectural community views architecture. Is it still art?
I think that it is definitely art. It, of course, the context of the origin of that architecture is changing. And maybe the definition of art as such is also changing. This means that perhaps historical standards that architecture is less artistic, but contemporary standards it is just as artistic as in the context of that history. This means that what was art before doesn't have to be art today, and conversely, those standards and that looking at art as such are definitely shifting. Architecture is still a symbiosis of art and technical and social, actually. Social knowledge, which are in fact implemented together into one whole, and that art naturally today can be, on the contrary, more strongly represented or more strongly demanded, so that in fact even that aesthetics remained preserved, even precisely through the limitation or that dictate of that commerce.
Do architects consider themselves artists today? Do you view yourself as an artist?
I personally believe that they never even considered themselves to be. In fact, architecture has its own category. Good. It's a debate between art, technical science, sociology, and psychology. Good. It is not pure-blooded art. It is not pure-blooded technical matter. Good. It is actually such a mongrel. It is everything together, where it intersects with a lot of knowledge, expertise, which cannot be defined only by art and cannot be defined by anything else.
And do you think that the label of art will be assigned to it only by history? When we look, we are talking about Baroque and these styles. So there I believe it is considered relatively high art.
That of course, but it is art within the framework of architecture. That art can have many forms and types and appearances. Architecture is one of them. Good, great, thanks. And yet, to that maybe one follow-up question. How much do you think, because the present world is what it is very fast and many things are happening, there are many influences, there is a lot of pressure. What role do you think art plays in this modern world, which is so fast-paced and functions so differently than it did 100 years ago? I think it still has a huge role, and it is the conscience of the nation that art is perhaps always, truly, I believe art is always the bearer of that philosophy, of that progress in society, where technological progress can always be a bit ahead, but art and philosophy can lag a little, but it is something that helps us retrospectively grasp the technology and helps us understand our current way of life and perception.
Okay. Of social events or the way people live. It is actually a kind of deep recess of the soul.
That is strong. I appreciate it. Now I am thinking, to follow up, that I will completely lower myself, that from such high philosophical heights I will go somewhere else. I did not have time to say initially that you are currently working at the New York branch of the Danish studio Big and are working on a large stadium being built in Vegas. That is your main project as lead. And of course I should probably ask about that. I looked at it. By the way, it is beautiful. It seems to me that it has high artistic value that will leave a mark on Vegas. A beautiful thing, in my view. But you once declared that your dream is to build either a stadium or a prison. So I want to ask if you, because many people have already asked about the stadium, so I will try the prison. From a different perspective, if you were ever in prison, and I trust that will never happen, what should that prison look like? What should your specific private cell look like? When you actually talk about it like this, as you said,
Here you go. Now the masochism in me has to show, so I can actually draw it for yourself. Try it. I have to invent a punishment for myself. But that is perhaps exactly what I wanted to say before, that the prison probably must be an adequate punishment. It is something that is meant to rehabilitate a person, but not turn them into a wreck or exclude them from society or from future functioning in society. That means I would have to invent something that would rehabilitate me, damage me to a certain extent, but at the same time show the right path to that rehabilitation. And that is what I think is fascinating for me, that typology or the idea of a prison where it is actually a punishment. On the other hand, it is something that should positively motivate those who are being rehabilitated there in terms of re-implementation into society.
So I understand correctly, finding a balance between actually punishing the person adequately, but at the same time not punishing them too much and helping them find that new path in prison.
Is it something like that? It is exactly like that. It is to rehabilitate them, punish them, but not break them.
That is interesting. Well, I hope someone reaches out and the prison gets built.
I am, of course, incredibly nervous about it, but it is something, that nervousness with a professional interest.
I find it immensely interesting. Great. When I touched upon your personal journey, your professional career, it led through London to New York. That is a generally known thing. We will probably add that to the profile. I wanted to ask exactly what the steps and motivation were to leave Zaha Architects in London for New York. Whether it was the level of freedom, or if you are actually an explorer who goes through the world and wants to absorb new impulses, trying new things in new markets, what was behind it? Is it personal freedom, or what is it?
On the other hand, I must say, this was also almost a huge dose of luck and chance. Because New York is an absolutely fascinating city and it always attracted me. I was there a few times before I had the chance to move there.
Okay.
But the final reason was actually that I had a green card, and if I had not used it, it would have expired. That means I would not have been able to visit. And at the time when I was deciding between England and London, England and New York, so London actually entertained me and I was relatively satisfied there. I was not looking for something new. It just happened because I decided to use the green card, move, and at that moment I actually found out, retrospectively, that the cities are absolutely diametrically different. And I found myself in New York more than I found myself in London.
The main difference, just when you fire, simply diametrically different in what?
People. The city as such, of course, has its advantages, disadvantages, but what makes New York New York are the people.
That means the energy that is there.
Energy, way of life, way of looking at life, and human values. Values?
This caught my attention. What values does New York represent in your eyes?
New York is incredibly fast, incredibly unpleasant, incredibly aggressive to live in, but when you actually get to know the people a little deeper, you find that precisely at the expense of that relatively harsh environment, you can then show exactly that, how to say, that gratitude and that effort to use every moment, to live in the moment, and the gratitude for any pleasant moment that comes your way. That is interesting.
I read in one of your interviews you said that you perceive yourself, and now to say it right, it is some computational designer. So I am interested in what is behind this term, as it caught my attention, and to what extent AI manifests itself, or how it writes into your profession, where it is also that perfect blend, that connection of AI and that geniality or human creativity, which I think is irreplaceable, even though I am a big user of AI.
Computational designer, that is, it is just a category, let's say, where we label anyone who is actually able to use things like scripts or what we call computational, meaning computing technology, in the sense that the design process is no longer strictly linear, and modern technology allows you to study several possibilities at the same time. You can branch it into certain additional subcategories and more options that let you explore the given topic in much greater depth than a more manual method would mean. This means that the computer is actually a tool that helps us to explore many more possibilities and study the topic in greater depth. Because it has stronger computational capabilities than the human brain, which of course does not mean that it does something for the human. It's just a tool for a person or an architect to be able to explore and actually create more, let's say, variants, or to explore the given topic in greater depth. And that is the same thing as AI. I believe AI can't replace human creativity, at least not at this moment. It is only another tool that is actually helping us to be faster in the process, to explore more things, and to connect more things together that the human brain or an individual could not think about before. It is merely a tool, and it depends on the way that the given person is able to use it.
So I understand you see it positively. It is a help for you.
It is, of course, a help, and it is in a certain way also a fascination of where this has managed to move, what we are able to use to be able to move even much further. And it is, again, as I say, it is a tool. I personally am not afraid of it. I personally use it on a daily basis. And it's something that helps us, the architects, to actually handle the given profession or the given task that we have on the table, to explore much deeper and deliver a better result. Great, okay.
I will now point to one interview where you were saying that you perceive architecture as a mover of society, which caught my interest because our whole show is about that, about how to move society forward so that we can get further and perhaps overcome old patterns that do not serve us anymore, and that it is able to move the whole neighborhood, the whole city. So I would be interested in how you actually mean this. And if you can perhaps give some example where it happened and where the mark was so big that it truly had a dramatic impact on the development and change in the whole of that society.
So it is the change again. Be quality or positive. It can be negative. I understand architecture as an intervention into the living environment of all of us. This means that today we are moving in architecture. We are daily actually living and moving and working, and our lives are taking place in certain environments defined by architecture. Of course, I would not want to attribute to architects a bigger role than they can actually have, but the impact of their creation is significant. Because whether we are going to talk about beneficial buildings or public spaces or family houses, it is actually the environment that architects create, and by that they are, of course, forming happiness, frustration, any feelings, ways of life, ways of using. This means that any positive intervention, even into the public space, can really initiate incredible development of a given neighborhood. It does not mean that the given architect orchestrates it like a conductor, but with subtle interventions that are adequate, appropriate, and which are beneficial to the given environment, neighborhood, city, village. They are able to initiate that further development like an avalanche. This means whether it happens, like, if we say one of the most famous examples, it would be Bilbao.
Right.
An absolutely iconic building that from an absolutely dead town into a center point of the world. And it is only because that architecture, quality architecture, was able to attract not only tourists, but actually that tourism was then able to initiate further development. So, in essence, a positive domino effect. Yes, of course, in some eyes it may mean that the original atmosphere of that given city died.
Okay.
This means that every coin has two sides, but in this case we can demonstrate this as a huge success of architecture that was able to rewrite the history of one whole small town.
And perhaps affect a little bit even the whole country. Okay. I now have some fun prepared for you. I will completely digress. We will take a little break. And let's play. I will launch on your tablet some small mini-games. I hope it will work. We are the very first ones with whom I will be trying this. So I will give you the tablet, and these are games. Simple, completely small psychological games that should help to reveal you as a personality. On camera. Well, on camera. But do not worry, it is nothing deep. So here you have it. Thank you. And we will try it. And we will see how it turns out. It's an experiment, but okay.
Can I hold it like this?
Sure, try starting it.
Yes, public.
Public means that then the result of that game will be visible on the page thecellcapital.com, and by that the viewers will be able to look at your archetype result of the
game. and the fact that I see several slides on the screen now that I should move through, so
You have the task. You have, I think, a sign.
should I read it?
You can read it easily.
You have life energy dots. Where do they flow? You have sliders there very fast, I think. This season, yes? Yes.
Now, how it is.
So, and should I comment on it?
Or you don't have to as you wish. You can or don't have to, and maybe it will be funny if you comment on it.
Okay, I was immediately interested. Putting out daily fires, which is actually probably connected a lot with work and vision, but of course feeding the ego. I'd like to drop it. Well, so I'll just give it 15. Is that okay?
It is exactly as you say. It will be fine.
The interest in the meeting is quite serious, so I will give it 10 as well. 15. Jesus, it's crazy how those dots are moving. You are being quite depressing. That's not the goal. For being fully present with family, I'll give 50. I'm trying to manage the time. It's nice, in a way. I must objectively give 40, as the dots are fading faster than I expected.
When you are finished, then you will click finish at the bottom in the first one.
And now troubleshooting. When it's probably for the work and vision, with those problems, it's together. So it's running away so fast again. There really aren't many points.
Well, but that is the intention.
That's clear.
Because you have to decide.
Well, I'm not sure if I want to put this on camera.
Worked. Mainly you are finished. Excellent, thank you.
I have it somehow.
Go ahead and send it. So, I have 3 games ready for you, but the question is, we have 20 minutes left in the interview, so I won't torture you. I'll let you do 2. And now you can choose. I have a value package here for you, or a lifeboat for 15 seconds. And I chose the lifeboat for you, so we are going in the lifeboat. Should it show up there?
Nothing has popped up here yet.
It always takes a little while before it is written.
You're starting to sweat. And we have it here now. So, publish again. Yes, I am sinking. You have 3 seats in the lifeboat. 8 things matter. No time for politeness. So now I click it. We have 3 spots and we continue.
Have you chosen them yet? Did anything show up?
No.
Will you start the timer? Yes.
Oh my goodness. Bless you. Weekend. Peaceful sleep doesn't exist. I must go for bread.
It was successful. Please send it.
That was quick.
I said it'd be fast.
One probably cannot have it ready beforehand. No.
So thank you very much. I have the results and I'll publish them on thesoulcapital.com under your profile. Now I'll go back to some questions, if I may. In this part, I'd like to ask something important. It's the reason I created this show. The Soul Capital refers to the fact that I am personally convinced that we as a society have arrived at a state where it is really necessary to move further from purely economic thinking, from profit to meaning. That means doing things that really have a deep meaning for the whole society and for the planet as such. These questions will be exactly the same in every interview, and every guest will answer them according to themselves. So, just by way of explanation, it is heavily inspired by the work of Simon Sinek and his book, The Infinite Game. Question 1. I will read it because it is really important that it sounds the way I have it prepared. Has there ever been a moment of emptiness in your career, that turning point when you realized that reaching financial goals isn't enough and that money alone will never make you happy?
Many times. And specifically?
If you could be more specific, I would appreciate it.
Well, as an architect, I speak for myself. It is my personal experience is that actually, and it is exactly tied to that topic that you actually mentioned, that actually a person, when they do big architecture, which concerns, for instance, those stadiums or structures of international importance, which are huge. So you necessarily, at this time, actually struggles exactly with that commercial use and profitability of those buildings. And it is actually something that has been concerning and touching me a lot lately, in the sense that I realized that I am actually a tool for profit. Even though I actually try to bring absolutely everything from my experiences and qualities and knowledge so that the architecture is of high quality and so that it serves its purpose and fulfills exactly the brief. So actually, in many cases, a person feels like a tool for profit. And that is something that I actually vowed for the future that I would like to change in my work.
Thank you very much for your honesty. Question number 2. Business is full of pressure for compromises, shortcuts. What is your personal red line? One thing that you would not do, and it would never mean a 10-fold or even a 100-fold profit.
Overall, I have a problem with bending before authorities and before people or interests that are essentially unpleasant to me. That means I wouldn't do political architecture. I wouldn't do projects for a vision which I would consider immoral. That means I would not want to do something I cannot personally identify with. That is great.
That is great. Admirable. Thank you. Imagine that your business and brand one day stop existing. What do you see as your only lasting mark that should remain in the world after you?
Probably nothing at all. Don't you feel that way? Not really for this. Or I don't build monuments. I don't work so that something remains after me. I rather think
that it does not have to be just a physical imprint. It can be, for example, some value or even some change that you spark, or at least be an inspiration for that change.
if my life and my actions will be an inspiration for others, in the sense, I don't know, inspiration, enthusiasm, life energy, then I am satisfied.
Great. Now I'll refer to Simon Sinek. He defines a just cause as a vision so bold it's unachievable. For such a vision, the bearer of this vision is able to sacrifice something essential. So I want to ask, do you have something like your just cause?
As an unfulfillable vision?
Is it a noble vision, a noble mission? In English, Simon talks about it as a just cause. Is it something so big that it is basically unachievable?
Well, that is a difficult question. It's actually probably in some way that symbiosis to create an environment that will be fully symbiotic, actually sustainable, non-toxic, that will perhaps return us to some true values of using living space to its purpose. That is quite abstract, but it is abstract.
But intentionally so. It is abstract. I understand. Thank you for that answer. At the very least, working on just cause usually takes a very long time, and it can take even years before a person reaches that point. Thank you very much for that attempt.
Thank you. I get the question and what I want to create, but I lack the detail. No worries, we can talk in a year. Agreed?
We can talk in a year. Agreed? Great, thank you. By doing that, you have also answered the last question I have in this block, so we will move on. And we are already approaching the end. It is really terribly hot, so I apologize for torturing you like this here. I have here now a question, actually as if from the outside. I always give readers, listeners, and viewers the opportunity to ask at least 1 or 2 questions for every interview. So I have one here from Lucas that caught my attention, and he asks, if someone gave you an unlimited budget, absolute freedom, and wiped the conservationists and building authorities off the face of the earth, would you be paralyzed, or would you create your masterpiece?
That would be total paralysis. I think that my motto is that, in fact, when I translate it, progress does not happen without some discomfort. When I apply it to architecture, then without the limits and restrictions, a person is not forced to achieve a better result. This means that all the freedom does not necessarily mean a guaranteed result. I think the best results come when a person has to find a completely unique solution in a huge mess of budgets and regulations. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Lucas was throwing bombs, so I will throw Lucas again. Is there a building in the Czech Republic that you did not build, which physically hurts you to look at every time, and which, on the other hand, took your breath away with its genius last time?
God, I think architects don't have a favorite. There is a huge majority of buildings that I do not like, or a huge... I did not want to say that. There are many of them, but again, I try to understand them in context. Why sometimes in such a way, why they look the way they do. I hate non-contextual architecture, thinking that it is a pure visualism that actually has no roots either, in context, in time, or in an idea. It can be semi-entrepreneurial Baroque, but it can be a purely sophisticated building that actually has absolutely nothing to say, or it does not work. In its essence, a building that does not fulfill the purpose for which it was designed. And a building that, for example, in the Prague Basin, because it is huge.
Let's take Prague.
That will be controversial. I love the Žižkov Tower. It is, in my opinion, something so unique, iconic, and for many people also painful, visually. That is a building I always like to look at.
Well, if you remember the history of the Eiffel Tower, it was such a painful thing, and look at it now. It actually defined the whole architectural glory. They wanted to tear it down, those people. Super, thank you. And now, just some quick things outside of business. A book or work of art that has influenced you the most in the last period, that has left a mark on you.
I am reading Havel now. Now I am completely embarrassed that I cannot read it. I cannot remember. The Power of the Powerless. It's a strong book. Okay, great.
And what is courage to you? In personal and professional life.
How important is courage? It's huge. It's something insisting on your own conviction despite the hardship it brings you.
Okay, one more on AI. How will AI change world cities in the next 20 to 40 years?
That's a hard question, but I think it, theoretically, or I believe it, I will be positive. I will be an optimist. And I believe that actually AI will, as far as architecture is concerned, actually bring us possibilities how to solve problems that we have not solved until today, whether they are certain models, traffic models, how to use the environment, which we didn't know before.
So maybe similar to medicine?
I believe that actually the sophistication of AI could help to bring another input into architecture in the sense of finding a solution we didn't know before.
If I had the opportunity tomorrow to build any building regardless of budget or location, what would it be?
Well, if we put aside all those dreams that I would like to build in Prague, which I have already mentioned so many times, then I would like to relax with something relatively smaller that will be fulfilling and beneficial only for one ordinary person. What is really smaller? It is a small scale where I can try it from the very beginning of the concept to the complete realization.
Well, we are asking Dan Kretinsky to get in touch. So thank you. And now actually the very end. Do you have a tip for a creator who, in the world, a Czech creator ideally is active is not very well known at home and deserves attention, and we should approach him for an interview. Can you think of anyone? Do you have a tip for me?
I have a lot of friends who actually function on the same platform as me. Czech guys, girls who work abroad in great studios. I do not want to give you a name completely, but I would try to fish in those waters where many great architectural studios work, Czech guys and girls who haven't been here.
Great, thanks for the interview. It was very interesting. Thanks for coming. See you in a year.
See you in a year. Thanks.